Hello. Hey guys, so today we are going to discuss about um, the basic C++ um, course. So this in this course we are going to go ahead with learning C++ from basic to advanced, um, from beginner to uh, like someone to go to someone who can code, who can write a code with the uh, uh, good time complexity, space complexity calculations. Um, we'll be learning about the basics of the programming. So initially we'll start with C. We learn some of the variables, the acronyms which are used in programming, and gradually we'll move to C++. In C++, we learn the concept of classes, we learn the concept of objects, and then we'll move to standard template library um, gradually. And once we are there on C++, we'll be moving to templates. And finally, we'll be um, trying some of the very good questions in C++ related to the polymorphism, um, and related to the inheritance, and then definitely using standard template library and templates as well. So let's get started. Okay, so today we are okay. So today we are going through the basic C book. So before jumping into C++ or any programming language, I feel that we should learn. Um, we should start with C because C has many of the concepts which actually um, are used by C++. So we'll be I have a book called Dennis Ritchie open in front of me. So this is ANSIC, um, Dennis Ritchie book, second edition. So we'll be covering few parts of the book. For example, let me go to the book here. Okay, so the first chapter of this book is about getting started, variables and arithmetic expressions, the for statement, symbolic constants, character input and output arrays, functions. These are interesting. Um, then we have the data types, constants, relational logical operators, increment, decrement operators, bitwise, assignment operator and expressions, conditional expressions, precedence, and order of evaluation. Then we have um, the flows, the if else, the switch statement, go. So this is pretty interesting stuff. Then we have recursion. Then we have pointers, which is also uh, which is a topic which actually is very important to learn, and pretty tough to grasp, but not um, like it's easy to understand. Then we have the concept of structures. So structures is pretty same as the classes. So we can say class in C++ is a structure with functions, and in Rust, a, a pretty new language, which is, I'll say, a superset of C++, also has a concept of structures, which has associated functions with structures, which you can provide an impl block. So that's also we are going to learn. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, just give me a second. So let's get started. So gradually, we'll not be covering the Unix system interfaces, reading from file, that is read, writing from file descriptors. We'll not be covering that. So let's go to the chapter one. Okay, so let's go ahead with a pretty basic um, introduction of the C programming language. Okay. Okay, so C is a general purpose programming language. It's closely associated with Unix system where it was developed. So we have the concept of operating systems where the Unix operating system came first, and then we had the Linux operating system, which was written by Linus Torvald, and C and Unix are closely associated um, because many of the ideas of C, which are from language BPCL, are developed by Martin Richards. The influence of BPCL on C proceeds indirectly through language B, which is written by Ken Thompson in 1970 for the first Unix system on DEC PDP 7. Okay, so C is quite old, somewhere around 1970s. C provides fundamental control flow instructions required for well-structured programs, um, statement grouping, decision making if else, selecting one of the set of possible cases, switch, looping with termination, test at top, and for bottom do and early exit break. Yeah, so we'll be seeing all these that we, if we want to go into the different cases, we have the switch statement. If we want to exit out of a loop or iteration, we have a break statement. Okay, so this is all the basic introduction of C. Let's move ahead to the chapter. Okay, so um, let's begin with the quick introduction of elements of language in real programs, but without getting bogged down in detail, rule, and exception. At this point, we are going to try. We are not trying to complete or even precise, save the example, are meant to be correct. We want to get you as quickly as possible to point where you can write the useful programs. And to do that, we have to concentrate on basics, variables, constants, arithmetic, and control flow and functions. Okay, so definitely this is the same objective which we have. We are not going too deep into the programs, but we will be trying to understand the basic concepts, and then we'll be trying to start ahead with writing the program. So let's get started. The only way to learn a new programming language is by writing programs. So this is very important. Some people try to read a language a lot, but that's not helpful until unless you do not write a program in it. The first program is the first program is to write same for all languages, that is print hello world. So here we'll be printing the hello world. This is a big hurdle to leap over, and we'll be able to create a program, the text somewhere and compile it successfully, load it, and find out where our output. So this is our first program. So let me share my Ubuntu operating system, and then we'll uh, start with just a second. Okay, So this is my Ubuntu operating system. This is a WSL on Linux, that WSL, that is Windows Base for this is a WSL. WSL Windows System for Linux, rather I'll say. So here I have installed a Linux Ubuntu operating system on to the Windows box. So I'm using Microsoft Windows 10 and I have installed Windows subsystem for Linux on it. So this is Ubuntu operating system, and let me write the first program, that is test.c. Okay, so Vim editor. So Vim is editor in um, Linux, same as the editor in Windows. For example, Microsoft Word, we have Vim to open the files here. So in this program we have the program which just prints hello world. Let's start with hello world, very simple program. So let me let us first try to look into the program structure, and then we'll try to compile and run it. So let me place a slash and at end as well. So in order to run this program, it depends on the system which you are using. If you are on Unix, you'll be using CC compiler, but since I'm on Linux, I'll be using GCC, which is GNU CC. So compiler is a program, um, is basically a program either in Linux or Windows or any operating system, which actually checks which has few functions for a program. First of all, it checks the basic syntax of the program. Then it does the lexical parsing, that is, the statements or the words which we have written in the program are correct, and we have not written any of the words or any of the statements which are not understandable by the programming language. For example, in this program, we have written hash include. So this include is a word which can be understood by the C programming language, or basically the C runtime library. And if we write something absurd word, for example, blah blah, so it will not understand, right? So compiler checks every word, every statement. Statement is one um, line that is terminated by a semicolon. That uh, this is understandable statement or not. Then compiler converts this into the assembly code, which is, we say it a object code, and then finally the linker actually runs that code, and we get the output. That's a long story, but let's not go into that detail. So if we have uh, not done anything wrong, then we can compile here this program using GCC test.c, and we'll get a a.out. So this is the recent a.out created. So this is created on 6th May and 7:58. So to run that file, I need to do /a.out. So dot slash in Linux means that we are running this in the current directory, and a.out. And when we run it, it'll the output as hello world. Okay. So let's go back into the program and try to understand it better. So, um, so basically, a C program consists of functions and variables. Functions are the statements that um, tells what things to execute. That is the computing operations. And variables are something which stores the values. So we have not taken any variable here. but main is a function here. So any statement in C which is preceded by these two brackets is a function, and any statement which is separate, any line which is terminated by a semicolon is a statement. Okay. So initially we started with the studio.h. Studio is standard input output.h. So this is a header file. So this tells the compiler to include the information about standard input output library. And this we always do it at the beginning of our source file, that is the code. So this with this file, in this file we'll have a definition of printf. So whenever the compiler comes to this line, that is line number 5, and it sees printf, so it will try to search that where is my dictionary. So the studio.h is a sort of dictionary. It'll go there and it'll try to find out printf. So if it finds it out, the printf, it'll say okay and does the task. But if it cannot find out, then it'll give a compiler error. For example, let's say printf a. So let me try to compile it. And undefined reference to printf a. So in studio.h, it's not able to he's not able to find a function named printf underscore a. That's why he has given this error. Okay. So basically studio.h is um, a header file which includes the information about printf and main, which are both functions. Since I have already told that any function which is preceded by bracket, any line which is preceded by bracket, or any word preceded by bracket is a function. So main is also a function, printf is also a function, and this studio.h includes information about the standard library, that is about the printf and main. Main is the starting point of our code. So whenever we have our code and compiler tries to run it, it first searches for main in C. If we do not have main, it will complain that it cannot find the starting point. And then main calls the library function printf, which just prints the sequence of characters and a slash n represents a new line character. Right. Okay. Okay. So here we can see that since we have two functions, main and printf, main is defined without any arguments, while printf, that is the string. If you see here, the printf has hello world string and /n, so that is an argument to a function, while main doesn't have any argument. That's pretty understood. Okay. So function is called by naming it, followed by the parenthesized list of arguments. So this calls the function printf with the argument hello world. So we have a printf function and we have called it with hello world. And the sequence of characters in double quotes is called the character string or string constant. So hello world /n is called a character string here, and /n is definitely a new line, which actually is for printing on the new line. Okay. So again, the printf never supplies the new line automatically. So if we modify our program something like this, uh, if we try to modify our program and we try like this, and we remove /n from here, then we will not have a new line here. let's run it. See here, hello and world both are printed in same line, no new line, and also at the end of world we do not have a new line. Earlier we have hello and world and a new line is inserted at end of world, but now it's not there. Okay, so we notice that slash n represents only a single character. An escape sequence like slash n um, is sort of an invisible character. Some other characters which are provided when C are tab, backspace, backslashes, and so on. Okay. So now there is an exercise here which is experiment to find out what happens if printf our string contains slash c. Let's experiment with slash c here and try to understand that if printf has a slash c, what will happen? Let us take a slash c and remove this and run this. It says unknown escape sequence. So slash c is basically it's a escape sequence, something like slash n. Um, but if we talk about slash c, uh, then it is let me try to understand. So it means that we are escaping a c character, so allowing us to print c. Slash c means you are escaping the slash character, so which allows us to print slash c. Escaping a character means that we are making compiler to ignore a character. So here what happens? Okay, let us, okay, run it, and we have ignored c. Okay, yeah, okay. So let's move on. Okay, so now we have the concept of variables and arithmetic expressions. Let me share the book again. Okay, so we have our next program which uses Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. So we have a formula something as C is equal to 5 by 9 Fahrenheit minus 32 to print following table of Fahrenheit temperatures and their centigrade and Celsius equivalent. So 0 degree Celsius is equal to minus 17 Fahrenheit. Celsius is equal to 148 Fahrenheit. The program itself still consists of definition of single function named main. It is longer than one printed hello world, but not complicated. It introduces several new ideas such as comments, declaration, variable expression, limited output. Okay, so here we have a concept of Fahrenheit conversion. So in this program, we have a main function and we have taken rather five variables. So that's interesting. So as we already know that any statement or any word which is preceded by the bracket, it's called a function. This is a function. So in C, function starts with this angular bracket and ends with this closing angular bracket. So this is a main function from here. And then we have five variables. So variable is nothing but a space in memory where where we can store a value. So here Fahrenheit and Celsius, lower upper step, these are actually the five variables. So why the name is variable? Because we can actually store a different value every time in these variables. So what we are doing here is we are storing 0 in lower, we are storing 300 in upper, and we are storing 20 in step. Okay. So we have, with this something we have, uh, I don't have editor here. Okay. So we have something as a memory block. One memory block is set as lower, which has a 0. Another memory block has upper, set as 300. Another memory block, which has step, set it stores value 20. And then we have another memory block called Faren, which stores value is equal to lower. And then we have a concept of while. So while is a loop statement in C. The statements inside while, for example, between these two brackets, are executed again and again until this condition is true. So this is a condition actually, that is the Fahrenheit and this upper. So until this condition is greater than or equal to upper, this condition is true, we are going to execute these three statements. So statement in C is anything terminated with a semicolon again and again. And, and when this statement becomes false, that is when Fahrenheit becomes greater than upper, we will exit this while loop. Okay, so let's write this program and see how this works. So let me open our program test.c using Vim, and let me delete this. Let me take Fahrenheit and Celsius. Uh, Let me take lower, upper, and step. Then let me initialize lower to 0. Initializing is done with equal to sign and the integer value and semicolon. So the again, now what is a data type here? So let me just explain that as well. So C or any programming language, nowadays we have Python, which doesn't introduces you a concept of data type. That's good to understand. C and C++ has a concept of data type. So data type is a kind of data which you want to store in a variable. So it's int. Int means integer. Integer in mathematics means all counting numbers. So counting numbers means something as from minus infinity, something as minus 100, minus 99, or from minus infinity to plus infinity. So integer can be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? And then we have a concept of a float, which is a decimal number. For example, we can store a value something as 4.5 in this. Then we have a concept of char, which is a character, and we can store only one character, for example, G or F in this. And then we have a concept of double, which is again a decimal number, but it can store bigger numbers as compared to 4.5. And C++ has a concept of string, which can store more than one character. So, or I'll say a word. It can store a word, something as test. So to start with, we have taken five integers. So far is data type int and so on as this. So we are assigning integer variables. So if we have taken a float variable here, some for example float r is r, then we should be using r is equal to 5.6 or something to store a decimal number. But we have taken a lower integer, so we'll be storing 0. Then we have upper is equal to 300. So this is the lower Celsius and this is upper Celsius. And we are taking a step, that is after how many Celsius we are again going to print it. And then we are running in a while loop where Fahrenheit is smaller than equal to upper, um, we are going to do Celsius is equal to 5 multiplied by Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 9. And then we are going to printf. Printf is again used for printing percentage D, Fahrenheit and Celsius, and percentage D again. And we are incrementing Fahrenheit is equal to Fahrenheit plus step. Right, so let's execute this program, gcc test.c, then let's run it. Um, let's see. Okay, if while Fahrenheit is, so we have not initialized Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is equal to lower. Now let's run it. So we have, okay, we have not assigned slash n as well. We have not written like placed slash n to print in every new line, right? Okay, one more time. Okay, so we got the output here. Let's understand this output. So, oh, let me share my this window. Okay, so let's understand this program. We have taken, I have explained about the data types: int, float, char, double, and string. Then we have taken we have initialized these three variables, lower, upper, and step to 0. Then we have initialized Fahrenheit to lower, and we are inside a while loop. So until this Fahrenheit is smaller than upper remains true, we are going to execute this while loop. So initially, we have Fahrenheit is 0 because lower was 0, while upper was 300, right? So Fahrenheit was always smaller than, that is 0 is always smaller than 300. So good, we'll go inside, we'll calculate Celsius is equal to 5 into Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit initially was 0. So 0 minus 32 becomes minus 32 divided by 9 multiplied by 5, which will be the value which we'll be going to print. So we'll print Fahrenheit as what will be going to print it. We'll be going to print Fahrenheit as 0 because it was lower, and then we are going to print Celsius as minus 17. Then we have taken the Fahrenheit is equal to, initially Fahrenheit was 0, now the step is 20. So now our Fahrenheit becomes 20. So still 20 is smaller than upper, which is 300. So this statement is still true. And we go inside and we execute the loop, and this is the output. This is the output. So and this is how we actually go inside a loop and try like execute a iterative statements in C, similarly in C++ or any programming language, while also exists in Python, while also exists in Rust, Go, every programming language. So I recommend you to start with this book. This is a very good book. Dennis Ritchie. Let me go to the book again. So, and today we have covered until page 25, and we have covered the while statement. So in um, meet, we'll be covering the for statement. So please try to read this book, C programming language. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to drop the message on my profile or LinkedIn. I'll try to answer as much as possible. And until unless you don't practice anything in life. Maybe it's maths, maybe it's cricket, or maybe it's any sports, or maybe it's programming. You are not going to learn it. So thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye.